Hi everyone, Amanda here. Thanks for stopping by. Just as a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to this channel or liked the videos, please do so. It really helps me out. So today I'm going to teach you different ways to make those 3D flowers, and I'm doing kind of a series, and all the flowers that were on that Versa mat we're going to be doing. But today we're concentrating just on these 3D flower thin cuts. It's a close to my heart product, and I was at a weekend retreat, and it seemed like there was many people that didn't know how to do some flower shaping, and so I thought that I would do a series on that here. I'm showing you that you can make flowers and shape them from dies, from punches, from Cricut cuts. This particular case, I'm showing that if you have just a regular flower with the standard smooth edge, you can make it into one of the scalloped edge flowers by either taking deco edge scissors and cutting them, or here I'm just literally free-forming back and forth, and it just gives a nice ruffled edge to that flower punch, and then when you shape it later it'll really give it some more dimension. So kind of this video is going to be filled with all sorts of those little things, so hold on to your seats. I guess we're going to go pretty fast through it. So here's the little yellow punch centers, and I make some fun things out of those. And then the middle blue one was the more stars, and I didn't punch any of the others. That circle is really good for daisies. So this is the Close to My Heart 3D flower thin cut. And you can see here that on the flowers that I showed you in the beginning, I only use the bottom three sizes. And you can make different flowers based on how many layers you use. So this is a brand new thin cut from the May-June catalog, and it's these leaves, and they go so well with the 3D flowers that I was really excited. And I cut them out intentionally in white just to show you that you don't have to have colored cardstock as long as you have some ink. And I use different things to color my images, so I really like those brushes. And then these blending tools are also good. They have their purpose. I think each of them are a little different. I like to do edging with those, and definitely distress inks work well with those. I have a different set of sponges that I use when I do the distress inks. But so those are some tools that are going to color the white. I also did some in our future series. You need a bottle of water. Some of that's for cleanup, some of that's for scrunching the flowers. And again, those are some of the flowers that I will do later on in the series. I'm showing you here that pop dots of different dimensions, like heights, are helpful. And then I circled the glue dots just to give you an idea of, they're the really small, less than a 1/4 inch glue dot. And then I use the art glitter glue. I really like the flow of it. And I also use the Tombow green label glue, because when it dries it has like a stickiness to it. So here's the tools that we use, and I'm trying to give you options of things that I think you might have in your stash. The green stylus, they call them dry embossing stylus, are by McGill, and it comes, I bought mine in a set, and it came with a reverse tweezer, excuse me. And then the orange and white one that's in my hand under my thumb is from Fiskars. And if you don't have reverse tweezers, I'm pulling out that you can just use paper clips, and I will use both of those today, both the reverse tweezers and the paper clips to hold things. This is a quilling tool that Close to My Heart sold years ago, and it's just basically a tube with a slit cut in it that you can slip your paper in, and it helps you roll the papers for shaping. The black is the scoring stylus from the Close to My Heart embossing board that I really like, just because it has a smooth edge. So the back of the Versa mat, and then this old foam mat that used to be in a set, as well as this old foam mat that used to be with a ruler, like a punch piercing ruler, those all work really well for shaping our dies. And then when you use a dry embosser, I found sometimes if your paper sticks, that if you put a little bit of soap on it, that it just really helps it glide over the paper and makes it a little less fatigue on my hands. So here I'm just showing you some of the flowers that I made during that weekend retreat. And just some of the centers were the the stamen from the die, and some of the centers are actually the negative part from the stamen, as I'm showing here. I just rounded off the corners on some of those and trimmed them down, and you can tell when you go to look at it, but I don't think if I pointed it out, if I hadn't pointed it out, that anybody would have noticed. So I like to use between 7 and 9 stamen, and that's probably the wrong word, but for the center of my flowers. So I just cut them off in groups of 9, and then I think at the end there wasn't 18 left, so I just cut what was there in half. But what I'm going to do now, because I cut it out in white, I can make these whatever color I want. Sometimes you do them in browns, depending, you know, like for lilies. Sometimes I do them in golds, but here I'm just doing the balls on the top in yellow, and this is lemon or lemonade, I don't remember which. And then I'm going to add some paprika on the bottom, which is a more orange, and this especially works well when we do the daffodils later on. So you'll see here that I'll just do the bottom part in the paprika, and you'll notice that the one I'm holding now has a thinner bottom because I trimmed it off than these. I will eventually, when I go to use them, trim off that ledge at the bottom underneath the balls and the stems, because that makes your rolled insert into your flowers that much taller, and I don't need any more height, especially if I'm trying to use them on a card or a scrapbook page. If you're doing something to decorate the top of a package, then it doesn't matter as much. So I'm just separating the flowers, and for the ones today I am doing a full 6 layers. I'm doing 2 of the small, 2 of the small medium, and 2 of the medium large. I'm going to use the large flower from the die set as leaves, and I'll end up coloring those green. So here I'm showing that you can get a lot of dark color if you just go direct from the ink pad to the flower. You get it really dark. I don't want it that dark, so I start in the center and pull out, but you can also tap it on your oh, I can't think what that's called, the brown cloth there, my mat. Sorry, I need my words today. So you can tap the ink that you get right from the ink pad on your mat, and so some of it ends up there, and then you pick it up from your mat again, and then it's not quite as intense, and you don't lose any of the ink by just putting it in the middle. And now I'm changed, and I'm going to do sapphire, and here I decided to do one leaf where I pulled from the center, and now this other one I'm actually pushing from the outside edge into the center. And I don't know if you can see it, but the second method really gets the edges dark, almost like the old dyed carnations from when I was in high school, if you know what that look is. So I'm just coloring all of these flowers. You can make them as intense or as light as you want. I truly believe that you need varied looks. You know, do one of them darker, one of them lighter. If you have a spot that's really dark on a leaf, I understand that it's probably going to bother you, but when the flower is all said and done, the recipient's probably not even going to see that there's a dark spot. So here I'm showing 2 different methods. The first one was you kind of like I use the score tool almost like you would scissors when curling ribbon, and you just pull it up the back of the leaf and it bends the fibers that way. And then to get a more intense look, I go ahead and use this dry embossing stylus, and you really push it down into the foam so that it wrinkles the paper. You want to put some pressure on it, and not just like I'm showing here. I did it kind of light the first time, and it didn't really curl the paper as much as you want, and it gives it nice wrinkles. And as funny as this sounds, there are flowers out there that have that wrinkled, almost crepe papery type look. So now on my stamen, I just put it into the quilling tool, and I'm rolling that little end, add a little bit of glue at the end of it, and you want to kind of give it a moment, like, you know, count to 4, count to 6, to give the paper a little memory of being rolled like that so that it stays nice. And now I'm just pulling each of the centers out, and when I rolled it, I made sure to roll the good side towards the center so that when I pulled them out, the good side was up. just doing some more of the full petals, the layers of flowers. So another way that you can shape your flowers, and you could have done all of them, I could have done all of them this way, is just you roll the edges up and down and back and forth. And I was trying to give you a close-up so that you could see some of that. I wanted a softer petal, and kind of breaking the fibers with the scoring tool helped make the paper a little softer so it rolled more. So those are just things that you just need to play with and figure out what works for you and what you like. Like you saw there that I used the end of the piercing tool to roll one of the leaves. I've used the scoring stylus. I use the dry embosser. You can use the Cricut scraper. You can use the side of a credit card. Whatever works for you, find it and go for it. So now I'm just going to color one of the biggest flowers from that 3D flower set, and I'm using Fern ink. And this time all the flowers are going to be, or all the leaves are going to be different. So I'm just cutting that into 2 sections because I will use it for 2 different flowers. And I'm dry fitting my flowers. I don't normally do that. I'm probably doing it today just to kind of give you an idea. And I cut that leaf. I didn't cut it all the way off to glue it 2 separate places because I knew it was bigger. And by holding it, by just clipping it and then bending it over, then I don't have to worry about what's going to hold it on or it being in the way of each other when I go to glue them on. It's just one glue spot gets my leaves in place. So these are some of those new leaf thin cuts that I'm doing with the green. And I'm just going to see if I like those any better. I'm not feeling these vertical stripes, so we're going to try the horizontal, and I like those better, so that's what I end up doing. But we're going to shape the, I can't remember what color, pomegranate? Not pomegranate. Sangria. I use sangria to color these flowers, and I'm realizing when you curl the sides of the flowers front and back, you can see some of the back on the front side, and it was a little too stark for me on the sapphire flower, so that's why I went ahead and inked the back of these, so that now that I'm curling them with my piercing tool, and I'm just kind of wrapping the edge of the leaf around the tool and using my fingers to kind of twirl it on there just a little bit. So this way when the top is rolled up, you still see the sangria color. You're not seeing the white. And once again, I'm just gonna go through and do some shaping. I really like the score tool for the bigger leaves, and I like the dry embossing tool that Close to My Heart doesn't sell anymore. I just like the wrinkled effect that it gets when you do around the outside edges of each leaf. And I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen. I'm not really seeing it, but if you ink after you do your shaping with the dry embossing tool, it'll actually pick up some of those wrinkles more. And I'm trying to show that here, and I'm not sure it's going to show up on camera, but in real life it really adds some depth, and it's just one more detail that adds to the whole look of the flower. So I decided I wanted to try something different, show you something different for a center. And these are just a punch that for years I thought was a snowflake, and then I had an aha moment of, you know, I don't like this as a snowflake, but I could definitely use it on the inside of my 3D flower. So that's what I did. And on the one I used the ball to kind of roll it up, and on the other I just pulled it gently with the flat edge, and that actually rolled it more towards the center. So now I'm just stacking them, the 2 of my yellows in the center, and then just put a dot of glue and offset your seams a little bit for each of the petals. And you'll notice some are lighter, some are darker. Again, I just think that makes it look more real. And you just need to hold it for a few seconds. And this is where I'm kind of slitting the bottom leaves again so that I can move them a little more of where I want them. And I'm using the tweezers, the reverse tweezers, to hold that on while it dries. And I decided to add some shimmer brush. And in the video it looks like it's the wrong color, but in real life it really looks good. I'm hoping that when I do a close-up at the end, you'll be able to see that you can see the shimmer in it, and it really looks kind of nice. And I didn't do all the petals, I didn't do all the outsides, I just kind of had fun with it, added a little bit of shimmer. It takes the realness out of it in some senses just because of how I chose to do it. But on the sapphire one, I used the clear and I only did the edges of the flowers with, again, the centers of the top flower. And that one looks really good. I like that look actually better. So you'll notice some of these petals I shaped so that they're more like a bowl. Some of them I shaped going down. Some of them I twisted the edges. Just layer them all together. So here's the shimmer brush that I was talking about where I did the center seam, and then I just literally lightly touched all the edges. And my clear brush does get a little bit of blue cast to it, but you just kind of brush it off onto your paper towel, and then as I was showing you on the white paper, excuse me, it comes out clear. And that's how I store my shimmer brushes. They're just on my desk in a glass vase that I got from the dollar store or somebody gave me. So, and here I'm using the new leaf dies as my base, and these are the horizontal ones, and I'm going to use a paper clip, and I wanted you to see that paper clips work really well to help hold that. And here's some of the other ones that I had made over the weekend, and you can kind of see the difference and how much I inked or didn't ink. So here's an up close view of these two that we made. Here's some more videos that you might be interested in. Remember to subscribe, and we will be going through all the rest of those flower cutouts that you saw at the beginning of the screen. I hope you have a wonderful week and a blessed day. Thank you.